All right. Yeah. My name is Mohamed Hossam. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of M&Z. I'm here to talk to you about safeguarding the future of financial technologies with information security. We're going to talk about a number of topics: adopting a zero trust model, utilizing tokenization, fundamentals of incident response, securing the human element, and how you can protect your organization against phishing. Well, fundamentally, we've been using what's been known as a defense in depth model, which is basically layers of security around our organization. The deeper you go, the more critical assets you have, and this has been the way we've been doing things in security for about 20 years. What's fundamentally flawed about this is that it is expensive to maintain because you have to invest in a lot of hardware to maintain these layers, and at the same time, it inherently trusts anybody who is within a specific layer, which actually makes it easier for attackers to traverse the network if they can get an inside foothold, which is what we're seeing with a lot of attacks recently. The benefits of zero trust is that it does not rely on inherent trust based on location within the network, but it really fundamentally relies on each application's ability within your environment to authenticate and authorize the users. So within the environment, you need to make sure that each node has the capability to understand the security of the transaction it's doing, but rather than rely on the layered approach. To implement that, we would need to centralize identity management essentially and ensure that security is inherently available within each component of our environment rather than adding layers of security to technology. When we talk about tokenization and its use to protect the financial technologies future, we can use it in two ways. We can use it to reduce our compliance scope and hence make life a lot easier when we're aspiring for things such as PCI for Fintech startups. This is going to be a requirement for a lot of the startups. So when you utilize tokenization properly, you're able to reduce the scope of compliance and hence focus on your core business and focus on providing the value. It is also very beneficial to use tokenization in the security domain because then you can limit where the sensitive data is and focus on securing those locations and giving application development teams the flexibility to rapidly develop features to the market while maintaining the security of your sensitive information, such as credit cards, for example. Okay. So when we discuss breaches and how to prevent them, we need to change our mindset from an if to a when. So basically, organizations of all sizes are suffering security breaches now, and we need to maintain the mindset that it's about responding to those breaches adequately. This is what's going to keep our organization secure. So basically, the fundamentals of incident response planning says that you need to have a scope and you need to really know and understand your scope because you cannot protect what you cannot see. After scoping, you need to define the incident response organization, and you don't really need to hire full-time individuals. You can actually rely on existing capabilities within your organization to form your incident response team. Last but not least, you need to have clear steps that are specific to your environment in terms of how you're going to respond to a breach should it occur, and that should be based on standards. Finally, leveraging cyber threat intelligence and automating incident response are two key points that, looking towards the future, we need to take a look at. Cyber intelligence gives us a view on the outside world and how external threats that are happening globally apply to our environment and how they could affect us. For example, if you had known ahead about ransomware attacks, you have a higher possibility of using that knowledge and that intelligence to protect yourself early. And for automating incident response, you do not need human intervention to block an IP on a firewall. That can be done automatically now, based on rules and based on machine learning. The human element within the formula is a critical element. If you build up all the walls and somebody hands the key, you're still in trouble. So basically, we need to have a holistic approach when we talk about the human element, there needs to be posters, there needs to be mugs, there needs to be interactive e-learning that enables the human element to absorb the content briefly and easily. If you get somebody to watch a 15-minute video on password protection, chances are they're going to absorb only the first couple of minutes. So let's just keep it at the first couple of minutes and try to keep it concise so that it sticks. It's very important that we align with human resource management when it comes to learning and when it comes to teaching people about security. The metrics of learning within security should affect human resource management just as any other training or competency does. Phishing is one of the most prominent issues we're seeing today with our customers. There are various techniques that you can do to detect and deal with phishing should it occur. The techniques vary. There are things that you can embed in your website so that when it's copied by an attacker, it knows that it's copied, and then you can take that knowledge and contact the registrars and take down the websites that are causing the incidents. At the same time, once you detect a phishing attack, there are things you can do like dilution, for example, which basically says, let's flood the attacker with fake usernames and passwords so they have no idea which is a valid username they can potentially use for an attack and which is not a valid username they can use for an attack. But at the end of the day, it's again about humans, and you need to educate your end users. You need to tell them that they're going to receive calls, they're going to get emails, they're going to get approached on social media, for example, by people posing to be your organization. And that needs to happen repetitively, because at the end of the day, we need to block this at the source, which is the human element. And for now, I'd like to keep this as interactive as possible. So if you guys, if anyone has any questions, we can take that. If not, we'll be at the booth, and looking forward to seeing everyone. Yep, thank you.